Hi there, I'm Jeannine Bryant with Easy Rightsizing. Today I want to talk to you about the process of emptying out a house. This is a situation that most people will find themselves in at least one point during their lives. Maybe they're emptying out their own home after they've moved, or maybe they're emptying out the home of a loved one after the loved one has moved or after the loved one has passed away. As a senior move manager, I work with a lot of clients who are downsizing and moving. They're moving out of a larger home and into a smaller one, and so they only keep a portion of their items with them. Maybe they only keep 30% of the stuff that's in their house. Then they have to figure out, what am I going to do with the rest of this stuff that's left behind? There's a recent study published that stated that the average American home had 300,000 items in it. Can you believe that? 300,000 items. And when you are moving and emptying out and selling a home, you have to touch every single one of those items and decide, am I keeping this? Am I getting rid of it? Am I selling it? Am I donating it? What am I doing with it? So trying to figure out where to start and how to go about emptying a home can really be very overwhelming, and it's taxing physically, it's taxing emotionally and mentally as well. So I've developed what I call the 5 steps of right sizing, and what those 5 steps really are a roadmap or a chart to keep in your mind as you figure out your priorities and what items you're keeping and what items you're getting rid of. So the 5 steps are illustrated here. The first thing we have to determine is, what are we keeping? That's the most important stuff that you're going to be keeping with you. This is a situation where if you are moving to a new home, these are the things that are going to move with you. The second step is to determine, what am I giving to family members and friends? These are items that we're passing down, maybe keepsakes that we're passing down to family members, or if you have a family member who just needs a practical item, like they need an extra bed or an extra couch, and you've happened to have one that you're not planning to keep, it's a perfect opportunity to pass it on to them. The third step then is determining what you can sell from what is left. Then the fourth step is donating what you weren't able to sell. And finally, the fifth step is removing trash. So even though each and every house is different and the objects inside of them are different, the process remains the same. So today, this video, I want to concentrate just on those first 2 steps, because what happens way too often is that people that I'm working with get focused so much on steps 3 and 4, which are selling and donating, that they neglect to really focus on the first 2 steps first, because those first 2 steps are what's most important. The first thing to determine is, what am I going to keep? If you are moving, you have to determine, what furniture am I taking with me? And then you sort through the little stuff and you decide now, what books am I taking with me? How many of my clothes am I taking with me? Which dishes and which knickknacks and what artwork am I taking with me? So it's your stuff, you are the most important, and you get to make those decisions. So you have to decide first. Before we talk about throwing out any trash, before we start taking donations to Goodwill, before we have a garage sale and we sell some stuff, the first thing you have to do is determine, what am I keeping? Okay? After that layer of stuff, and it should be the top layer, it should be the best stuff, that's the stuff that you want to keep for yourself. The next step is to think about, what items do I want to give to my family members? If you have kids or grandkids or siblings or cousins or friends and neighbors that you want to pass items down to, now is the time to do it. You've already determined the things that you're keeping with you. Now, from what's left, what items do you think your family members would enjoy having? Which items would you love for your children and grandchildren to have, maybe even after you're gone or after you've passed away? That is the second step, and that's the second layer of stuff really that should be taken out of the house and given to family and friends. The next step is very important. We're going to do a whole separate video on it, but the next step is to look at everything that's left in the house. And here's the thing, realize that everything that's left in the house are things that nobody wanted to keep, or nobody had the ability to keep. Maybe they didn't have room in their house, they weren't able to come and get it in a period of time. For whatever reason, everything that's left in the house after you've completed step 1 and step 2 of this process are things that nobody wanted. So if you wrap your brain around that, it makes steps 3, 4, and 5 a whole lot easier. Now I'm going to make a separate video for those steps 3, 4, and 5 because they're a whole nother ball of wax unto themselves. But today I wanted to focus on those first 2 steps. Now the first 2 steps are 2 separate steps if you are talking about someone who's moving out of a home. What if you're dealing with a situation where a loved one has died and you're emptying out the house? Well, then those first 2 steps are really combined into one. So if you happen to be the executor of the estate, you're the one in charge of making the decisions to go through the home and make sure that you kind of put your hands on everything so that you at least know what is in the home, and then start determining from, if this person has passed away, their heirs, who gets what, and start dividing things up that way. And then you can go through after you've decided what you are keeping from your loved one who has passed away, then you can go about the process of selling, donating, and removing trash. So stay tuned for the next videos in this series. Thank you for watching. And as always, if you want more right-sizing tips, head on over to easyrightsizing.com. Thanks for watching.